Hi everyone, welcome to another 2-week intensive here at Tonebase. My name is Eloise and greetings from Los Angeles, California here. So in this upcoming 2-week intensive, I would like to cover a very important topic in our piano playing, which is the art of pedaling. So as most of you may already know, we have 3 pedals at a typical piano, and I'm just going to briefly go over them. Let me just tilt my camera here so you can see the 3 pedals. So we've got the very left pedal, which is called the una corda pedal. That's typically used by the left foot. This is my left foot here, and it's to add a little bit of a color change to soften the sound. So if I'm playing without the una corda, and here's a C major chord with the una corda pedal, it sort of softens the quality of the sound, even if I'm applying a similar touch. And then we have the middle pedal, which is called the sostenuto pedal, also known as the sustaining pedal. So what that does, also typically used by the left foot, let's say if I want to sustain a certain pitch without blending all the sounds together. Here's a low C. I'm going to play the low C first, and then I press down the middle pedal, and then I play that little C major arpeggio at the top, and it sustains that low C without blending everything together. And then, of course, comes the most frequently used pedal, which is my damper pedal. Here's my right foot over here, and that does, it blends everything and adds much more color to the sound. It does not necessarily connect, actually. It blends everything together and makes this really colorful sound world that is really nice, actually. We love using that damper pedal. In this particular 2-week intensive, I am going to be mostly focusing on that damper pedal, actually, the technique of applying it. But really, I do believe that this breakdown of assignments that I'm going to give you is something that you can apply to the other pedals as well, depending on the repertoire you are working on. So let's get started here. So with the damper pedal over here, this is a pedal that sometimes is a little bit misused because, I mean, first of all, our piano repertoire keeps our hands and minds so busy. We're so worried about getting the notes correct, getting the rhythm correct, that we're so worried about everything that's written on the page that sometimes we frankly don't have the time to apply the right rhythm and the right muscle of the foot or what the foot's doing. Occasionally in performance, I'm guilty of it too, and we have a very difficult passage coming up. We kind of freak out, panic, right? And then we press that damper pedal down. My friends and I joke that it's called the gas pedal. We just kind of accelerate ourselves, and then everything gets a little bit messy sounding when that happens. So what we need to keep in mind, though, is that the damper pedal is applied for color. It's applied to enhance our playing, but not to cover anything, not to help us play legato. That actually all of that is done in the hands. So once we get everything secure in the hands, that's when the foot can apply and help us get that sensitive pedaling, the right amount of color that we want to add to our musicality. So I'm going to explain about your first week's assignment, actually, which is going to involve not using the pedal, even though this 2-week intensive is about the pedal. And then in the second week assignment, we're going to apply the pedaling a little bit more in detail. So I would like you to choose any repertoire of your choice. We're going to start with choosing just an excerpt of a piece. You could do 4 measures, 8 measures, however long you want that is effective for you. I'm going to show you 2 examples of contrasting pieces. The first example is the second movement of the Beethoven Appassionata Sonata, which is the theme and variations. And then the second piece I'm going to demonstrate is the second prelude of the Gershwin's preludes, 3 preludes for piano, which is this kind of jazzy take of a piece. It's a fantastic work. I encourage you to listen to it if you do not already know the piece. And we're going to focus on, I'm going to focus on these examples to describe about this assignment, but you get to choose whatever repertoire you want. All right, well, let's start with the Beethoven. So I'm actually going to take all the pedaling away. So my foot is not going to be anywhere on the pedal. It's just going to be resting on the side here. And what I'm going to do is focus on trying to make a very legato sound with the fingers. We actually call that the finger pedaling. So this is a tactic that I use a lot. You may already be using yourself. But here is the theme over here. I'm going to play without pedals, so it might sound a little bit bland at first, but here is the theme, just the beginning of it. Right, so as you can see, there were a little bit of, it might sound like a hiccup, but what I'm trying to do here, the challenge factor of this particular piece is the chords at the beginning. So it's really hard to connect chords. If we're trying to finger pedal like a scale, it's a little bit easier because we're dealing with single notes. But when we're dealing with bigger chords, and for example, this particular opening of the Beethoven Appassionata second movement, it's hard to do. So I am doing a little bit of slightly cheating, you could say. I'm going to demonstrate an octave higher so that it's actually shown in my camera. In my right hand, what I'm doing is after I play that chord, then I'm letting go of the bottom notes at the really last possible minute, actually. So here we go. One, and then, but I am connecting the tops. So this is what the tops are doing. It's really just connecting. All right, and I'm using my arm weight to help that legato sound. But if I do that for every single voice of the chord, it's going to actually make me get stuck on the keys. So this one, I let go. That way the top is still connecting. And then I'm going to apply the same thing. The top doesn't let go, but my bottom notes are breathing. So we're breathing actually in between the chords to help that legato technique. And this is something that you can apply pretty much any piece, not just this particular Beethoven, but whatever piece that you have that has chords and involve the damper pedaling, or any pedal for that matter. We want to make sure the connection is done in our hands first. That way when the pedal adds, it's only adding color rather than trying to cover up or make a legato sound, because all of that can be done physically in our hands. Now I'm going to move on to the Gershwin here. The Gershwin's a little bit more challenging. I have a pretty small hand, so the opening starts with a C sharp and an E, which is a 10th interval. Those of you who can reach that, well, great for you. You would have to play it together. I can't reach that, actually, so I'll have to break it. So this one, right there. So at the opening, it's by itself, so I could technically just break it in two voices like this. Then I'm going to play it connected. We've got 3 measures of this, actually. And I'm using no pedal right now. Then here we go. Right hand has this kind of bluesy. I'm fingering pedaling that right hand. I'm going to stop there and notice that I am trying to feel that whole arm as actually one joint. That way I'm breathing with the music and trying to connect everything as much as possible. I am going to tell you this is going to feel very uncomfortable, actually. This is how much we actually psychologically rely on the pedal. I'm speaking for myself too, and it almost feels like you're naked on the streets or something. You feel like you need more clothing on. But this is a great way to practice because not only it helps you kind of hear everything clearly, but practicing without the pedal, it's almost like a detox. I'm from Los Angeles, California, so detox is something we talk about a lot in our food dieting, but it's like that in our piano practice. It's like a detox. It really helps you get sensitive attention to everything. Now, the next step after this of practicing without the pedal, I would encourage you to write down when you actually need the pedal. So sometimes our music scores already have the pedal markings written in. Most of the time it does. Certain pieces, certain eras of pieces do not. So that is when you can physically write it down. You might be surprised how maybe the editor has a little bit more pedaling than you might actually need. So, for example, going back to the Beethoven, I'm going to write down this one. I'm going to add a pedal here and then pedal and then pedal, right? So I'm keeping a mind map of where exactly I can add the pedal to apply a little more color change. However, all of the connection and the actual sort of the technical part is already done in the hands. And what I'm trying to get at is that all that should be done in the hands first before we decide to add the coloring and the painting with the petals. All right, so happy week one to all of you. I look forward to, you are welcome to submit any recordings in the forum there or pictures of some of the petal markings that you added during your practice of excerpts, and I am happy to write down back feedback for you. Thank you so much, everyone, and see you in week two.